This is Shanae Alejandro Brati and CJ Kuzler from the Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business TV show. And we welcome you to the Spanglish World Networks on Singo TV channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Singo TV app on your respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. And while you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Singo TV is also available on Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV Sticks, Roku and Roku Sticks, and all smart TVs forward from 2016. Welcome, sir. A load of welcome to you, Coach D. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you all doing? Hello, Shani. It's a pleasure to meet you, CJ, as well, and Alejandro.
No, this is really good, Coach D, to have you here with us. So I know that this is going to be amazing. I am really happy to be the four of us together here. Today, we want to hear your story, Coach D. We want to know where are you coming from, what happened in your life, how you started to move. I know that you are from another country, not from the US. So tell us a little bit to start to have a sense from where are you coming before you really believe in yourself, and what started to happen to you start to believe in yourself.
Oh, wow. So I hope we have about 10 hours. But if we don't, I'll provide you with the shorter version. So I'm actually Polish. I was born in Poland, in Warsaw, and I basically grew up there up to the age of 7. Then we were here in the US for a few years, and we went back. My mother was an artist, very often outside of the house, raised by a grandma who was afraid of absolutely everything. Me as a little kid, kind of standing there going, "Oh, mom, please, please, please be so nice. And can you, give me a hug?" And my mom was not really a hugger. So most of my life, I was yearning for touch, for physical connection, which my mom absolutely detested. And that kind of rolled into me making bad choices. The worst choice, the great choice and the worst choice, because it has a very different meaning now, was choosing a partner that used to abuse me, rape me, beat me, put a gun to my head, put my head in the toilet, whatever you can imagine had happened to me. And I wanted to prove the world that I'm worthy. So I would basically go through the low-hanging fruit and people who absolutely did not achieve anything, and I would attract those people to my life. And after that, he was a father of my son. When I gave birth to my son died. Well, I died first giving birth, and then they brought me back, and my son died when he was 16 months old. So that spin me out into a depression of 2 years, which I don't absolutely remember my life for 2 years. And then I became more masculine than any man you can imagine. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone and He-Man and everybody else could learn from me. I mean, I was just this power woman, cursing, going forward, straight to the point. Femininity was a poof. And I treated feminine women like weak things, like, ooh, disgusting. How can you be like that? And all of that piled up. I got married. I got divorced. I have now 2 beautiful twins. Well, twins are 2, so that's kind of logical. I had twins, and they're now 22. And my journey was very, very, very challenging because I achieved absolutely everything you can imagine for a young woman to achieve, surrounded by men, age 50 to 70, going, "Oh, little girl, what would you like to tell me? Really? You think you know something? So what? Would you like to take some dinner with me and then breakfast and we can talk about the business?" Literally, straightforward. There was no, walking around. And in Europe, unfortunately, it is quite common. So I've learned to deal with this, with being very distant. And I would come home and I would cry. And I would hug my kids and I would hug my cats. And one day I woke up, I was like, crap, there has to be more to life than this. It's just impossible that this is life. I like my achievements. I'm making money. I have a house. Everybody thinks I'm doing something great and I'm miserable. And that's when the road started. But that was just the epiphany of me going, there has to be more. So then there was a relationship for 5 years. Then one day the gentleman woke up and said, I don't think I love you anymore. So I said, well, I guess you need to move out. He goes, I guess I will. Half a year later, he was married. So that was like, okay, I am obviously doing something wrong because it's impossible. Even if you take statistics into account, and I'm a sociologist and psychology was something, a big part of my life, and I analyze things and I love patterns. I'm like, okay, if the same things keep happening over and over again, that means it's not the world. It means it's me. So if it's me, I cut off men, relationships, everything for about 7 years. And I started working on me, on who I really am. What is culture? What was embedded in me as part of culture? And who am I really? Does the culture fit me? Do I really present the way I want to be presented? And if I'm attracting these type of people, what can I do about me to attract different type of people, or diagnose who they are earlier so I don't get involved?
Yeah.
And that road is still going on. It has been 11 years. And I can literally say that I have encoded happiness in my DNA. I am, and that's going to be sounding weird to everybody, I am grateful for the experience of my child dying, because he taught me what it means to love. He taught me that you got to tell that person and everybody around you how phenomenal they are every day. It doesn't matter if it makes you feel uncomfortable. You tell them that, because if you don't, you will regret it for the rest of your life that you didn't share and you didn't make that person's days better. If I see a woman that has a beautiful dress, hey, I'll go to her and go, oh my God, your dress is so gorgeous. It will make her day. If I see a handsome guy, I will tell him he is handsome. And I don't mean anything by it. I don't need to pursue him. Yet I know that sharing positive emotions is crucial. I am also grateful for the mistreatment of the men that I've experienced in my life, because men that I choose now and on my road are very different. I have experienced that men are phenomenal creatures. Ladies, they are phenomenal creatures. They're very different than we are, but they're phenomenal. They bring so much to life, and they make life so much easier if it's the right man who knows where he is, knows where he's going, and you guys can be actual partners. There's so much. So DNA, every event in my life right now is either a learning experience or something to be joyful and grateful for. And I have encoded DNA in my happiness, and that's what I coach, because I truly believe that until I was able to do that, I could not see the opportunities. I could not see the chances. I saw everything as a challenge. I would fight the world. I was like this, He-Man going on a fight with dragons, and I had no way of slaying them because the dragons were too big. I have no more dragons. There might be little monsters, but I squished them.
I'm going to stop you a little bit, Coach T, because I want to hear a little bit on that moment where you decided to see who you are and started those 8 years that you were saying, okay, what were you feeling? Why you decided to start to, okay, I need to look for something different? What was happening behind to take that decision to start to look for yourself, or decided, because you were at the same time feeling that you were at the top of the world with the thing that you were doing, but why you started to decide like, no, I have to change. I am attracting the kind of people that I don't want to attract,
It was a
even if you were
distance.
in the top of the world. So
It was the distance. So I've learned over time that what people see outside has nothing to do with what's inside very often. And it was a dissonance of going, people perceive me, because I was in the media on daily basis. Any newscast in Poland, any newspaper in Poland, you could find me everywhere. My name carried weight. And I would come home and be miserable. And those things didn't go together, because my goal in life is not to be famous. My goal in life is to be happy, because happiness leads to a better life. And I want the great quality of life. So I was sitting there going, those things just don't work. Whatever I'm doing, it's not working. And it was kind of facing myself going, okay, you are doing something wrong. And I had no clue what. That was the thing, because I was using patterns the way I was raised and the protective mechanisms that I created to protect me that were no longer serving me. And that's very important. The fact that I did something in the past, it doesn't mean it was wrong. It was good for that time. But when you grow and move on, those patterns need to change because different things will serve you. So I literally hired a coach. And it was painful. Oh, it was painful. I mean, to be honest, fact that I had friends, I think it's a miracle. I was a, excuse me, can I say a bad word? I was a bitch from hell.
But you hired that coach before starting this process or during the process?
It started, I realized that there's something wrong. And because I had so much masculine energy and so much, I am analytical and I cannot change that. That's part of my brain. I am a sociologist. I love patterns. I love analyzing. Yet I can use that to my advantage. And my analytical brain that saved me from a lot of heartache said, those patterns don't match. That's not working. No matter how you want it to work, it's not working. It's not what you want. But what do I want? I have no clue. How do I find out? So it was first books. But then the books weren't enough, because you do need an accountability partner. You need somebody to ask you the right question. You need somebody to put you and say, hey, I get it, but no, this is not okay. And then learning that rejection is okay. Learning all those things that we're so terrified of. And it's not only me, it's everybody. Nobody likes to be rejected. Well, later on with all those trainings, I was sitting there dismantling myself. I had so many wrong patterns in my head. I had so many beliefs that were not serving me. One of my coaches said that if we would talk to other people the way we talk to ourselves, we would have no friends. Okay, I would be dead. They would literally kill me if I would talk to other people the way I talk to myself. My coach gave me an exercise, gave me a box with like a little open thing and said, every time you have a bad thought or you criticize yourself, write it down and put it in a box. We'll open it in a month. I want you guys to guess how many little pieces of papers were there?
In one day or 1 month?
1 month. 1 month.
I don't know.
300.
Yeah, hundreds for sure.
Yeah, well, 785.
Wow.
How can you be happy if you're penalizing yourself for everything? You can't forgive yourself for the smallest mistake. You get angry at people. I would be angry for weeks over things that happened weeks ago. I wouldn't be able to let go. And all of that was piling up with with this powerful woman running companies, selling companies, doing all those things, working with the government, working with the European Union, being almighty. And then it was this not broken, but literally miserable woman that went home and felt unheard, unloved, didn't fit in, didn't listen to my intuition, which I've learned to listen to. Oh, it's a blessing. I listen to my intuition. Guys, listen to your intuition. If you allow it, men as well, it will be your life saving. We know what we have. We know what we need. We just got to listen. So then coach after coach, after a coach, after a coach, after a coach, because most of my coaches were phenomenal. So after about 2 years, they had nothing to teach me. I needed a new coach because I was at a different level. And then I got to a point where the books and the coaches, that still wasn't enough. So then I went to Tony Robbins trainings, and then I run into, because I was a coach before, but for a very different department, for job career. Why? Because I was analytical, changing jobs, careers that fitted perfectly with my vision. And it's funny because even till now, my mom calls me from Poland. She goes, "Don't be so happy." I'm like, don't be so happy. Yeah, it's a cultural thing. So in Polish and Eastern European culture, if you're ecstatic, if you're happy, if you're like me, you're not trustworthy because you must be pretending. There's no reason why you will trust a professional who's happy. You need to be serious. So when I speak with Polish media, I go into this tone of voice, and I'm very reasonable and rational. There's no smiles coming on. And this is the only way people will listen to me, which is totally not me. And my mom cannot go over the fact that being ecstatic and happy and joyful can be also professional. And it's not her fault. Yet it's a cultural behavior. I choose to go against my Polish culture and be me. Yet it took me growing to become that. It's
And
not that simple, right? You cannot just go.
let me stop you there for a while because that is really important what you are saying there. Sometimes what is happening around us and the environment that we are growing and the culture that we are growing is creating the patterns that we are using.
Absolutely.
And why we are the way we are sometimes is yeah, because CJ is in Toronto and he is suffering there because you have to suffer if you are in Toronto, so you have to be like that.
Hey
And
now, hey. Don't be like that.
but that is so true. Sometimes we think that we can change and you can be happy because you are in an environment that is not possible to be like that.
Well, the thing is, it is possible. It's not, it's impossible. The way we think, the way we were brought up makes us think that it's impossible, but it is.
Exactly. But that's how we start to be in front of who we really are and start to challenge that if we see that everything around us is different, you know?
It is true, but the way you look at the world will change the way the world looks at you. And there are some people that fell off the map because I decided to embrace who I am and how I am, the way I like to be, and the way I feel joyful. And there are some people, new people that, those people that fell off the map made space for. And now I'm surrounded mostly by people who absolutely enjoy my presence, absolutely enjoy the way I see the world and want to be a part of that world. Their life doesn't like emptiness as our brain. You went to the same training as I did, Alejandro. Scotoma, right? It's an empty place in your brain. There's this little thing that you can input everything you want in there when it's empty. And you can fill it in with whatever you choose that will serve you at the right time. Yet you have to create that space, because if it's full, there's no way to add anything into it.
So, Dominika, I'm curious, how long was the process for you to go from that place of what you described as absolute misery to this place of absolute joy? And in that process, because you described books and then coaches and books and coaches in this process before you become a coach, how much did you have to change your environment versus how much you changed your paradigm so that your environment shifted to you?
I think it was me changing, first of all, to answer the last question. It was me changing, and that kind of let go of people who did not fit in anymore, because I gave them permission to go, and I was grateful for the time they were in my life, and made space for other people. So it's primarily working on me. The world, our brain sees whatever we direct it to. So if you wake up so-called on the wrong side of the bed, you will be prone to see negative things that prove you right. If you wake up with priming going, life is phenomenal, I love my life, I'm going to have an amazing day, your brain will start looking to prove you right again. So it's our choice what we do with that day. And it took me 11 years, maybe 9, to get where I am now. So it was a lot of hard work. And it's still going, because every day I find little things. It's now different, because when something triggers me, so I get angry about something, I'm like, okay, why am I getting angry? It's not, oh, you idiot, oh, you stupid girl, whatever else, and blaming the world. I'm like, why their behavior, whatever they did, is getting me aggravated? Because they have no clue that I'm getting angry, and that they really don't care, right? So what can I do to take care of myself to react differently? And then usually I call my coach and go, hey, because I don't have time to sit here and analyze myself for the next 50 days. Hey, I have this issue. I got triggered. This was the situation. Help. And he asks the right questions, and he goes, okay, well, think about this. And then we kind of together, I dismantle it, and I go, okay, I know what to do. And then I work on that little part of me, because there's no point literally to get angry and upset over things that we have no influence over. And even if we do, why would we get angry and not just change it? It doesn't make sense. It's a waste of time. And time, I wouldn't say time is money, but time is precious. And that's one thing you can never get back.
That's so good.
And tell us a little bit on your what you are doing when you are starting your day. I know that we are going to continue with your story, but
That's
that is
okay.
a good thing.
Okay, so my day, it became automatic. I love it. So I used to have 20 minutes dedicated and I would do first priming. I have my identity statement that I keep repeating out loud. It used to be out loud, now it's in my head. Then I do stretching. Then I give myself five in the mirror. Then I tell myself it's going to be an awesome day and I'm excited to see what it brings. Then I smile to myself in the mirror and I say, I love you. Then I put my hair in a ponytail and I get my coffee. Before that, I take some water with lemon. And that's beginning of my day. The difference now is because I've been doing it for so long, literally, when I go from the stage of sleep to waking up, my brain starts literally saying those things without me being conscious. It's so funny. You wake up, you're opening your eyes, and you realize you're doing your mantra. Like, I am an amazing woman. It's the weirdest thing ever because there are no other thoughts.
Tell us your mantra, because I love your mantra and I know that that can help a lot of people that is listening right now. So tell us a little bit about your mantra.
I am an amazing woman, easy to love, accepting true love, being truly loved. I attract opportunities and I take advantage of them. I attract success and I'm successful. I take advantage of all successful opportunities. The money I spend comes back to me multiplied. I create healthy and beautiful relationships. I am unique and I spread happiness and joy around the world. The purpose of my life is to be happy and um, help others purposely with, gosh, I forgot that one. Help others purposely. Okay, let's see. But there's basically a component of return investment. The simple is that I used to have, my purpose of my life is to be happy and give hope to others. And then people would ask me for help and I would end up helping hundreds of people and literally be left like, okay, and what's next? So now I added that little element that it has to be a return investment in some way, shape or form, not necessarily money, but a friendship or, something that I get out of it, because it turned out that it was just unsustainable. I was drained.
Mhm.
So this is more or less my mantra that comes into my head every morning. And every half a year, I kind of revise that mantra. This is a revision period because I achieve some things that are just automatic, natural. I see them. So I add things like now it's, I'm a phenomenal coach. I have more clients than I can serve and things like that. And they're just in there because whatever you focus your brain on, this is what you start noticing. It's not even attracting. Those things are there. One of my coaches, another one that is a financial coach, she goes, guys, you're saying that people have no money. Look at your streets. Okay, I'm looking at my streets. What cars are driving there? How many cars over there are 20,000 K and more? No. And you're saying people don't have money. Okay. Well, almost everybody, if it's important to them, they actually do have money. The question is it important to them? Is the value, whatever they're going to buy, worth the investment? And that's the only question. And, people buy the weirdest things. I've seen a website where people sell their bodily fluids and send it to each other. I mean, I have no clue why would there be a need, but there are websites like that.
Wow.
So you're talking about value before the bodily fluids part. But,
Yes.
interesting. But you talk about value, and then what I'm curious from that is seeing your intrinsic value yourself. I'm wondering about the process between, not seeing the value and wanting to pour out because you want to bring value back. You grow in your heart, you start to grow abundance, and you really want to bring value. You want to change people's lives. You want to leave a legacy, and all these things start to grow inside of you. But then there comes a point where you're pouring out, and then you're burnt out at some point. So it sounds to me like along the way you realize that, and you realize that there has to be a cycle, that there's the pouring out piece, but there's also where it comes back so you can continue not only giving, but that you can become more abundant and give more. So what was that process like for you? What was the span of time, and were there specific elements that stand out for you?
So one of the things was I didn't get to the point of burnout because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing.
Sure.
Yet I realized that I'm giving more than I'm getting from life. And as the core of my belief is that I want to be happy. That's the first part of my mission statement. So I always ask myself, is this making me happy? Am I happy with what's happening? Well, if not, what can I do to change it? And that's literally a question every time. If something is not going the way I expected, am I happy? Do I have influence over it? Okay. If I do, what can I do to change it? And that is it. That's as simple as that. And if you follow those guidelines, those 3 questions, you readjust. There's no one said that the first try is going to be a perfect try, right? So if something is not working, okay. Am I happy? Is that the outcome I want? No. Okay. Do I have influence over it? Because that's a very important question. Because if you don't, then you have a choice. Do I leave it alone? Right? Or do I get involved? Although I have, and it's a hit and miss. So the only engagement I do is when I have influence over it. I present options to people. Now they have to decide if what I'm offering is of value to them. And if it's not at this point, guess what? If we built a connection, they will say to somebody, you know what? I spoke to this person, you might want to talk to her. Awesome, fantastic. Out of maybe 100 of, like I did little statistics, out of 100 calls that I did, discovery calls, my clients were only 10%. And I went, I'm attracting people, but these are not my clients. These are not the people I am going to help the way I want to. Yet they think I'm the good person. So what can I change in my messaging, right, to attract a different type of people? Because I am attracting them. So that's not an issue. Issue was who is being attracted. And most of my clients were referred out. And I'm very happy to do that for my other coaches because they specialize in those things. I don't specialize in alcoholism. I have no clue about alcoholism besides having my brother who's an alcoholic, but I have not went through it. Right? I don't know how it feels. I don't know what that person is struggling with. And one of the things I do, I don't coach on theory. I have to have went through it. And that's very important because when I used to be an ESL teacher and I'm an ESL student, right? English is not my first language. What happened is that when my students would tell me, oh, I can't do that, I would look at them and go, BS. You just need to study more. I did it in 1.5 years, so can you. It's doable. So there's no excuse because I know exactly what they're going through. I know how boring that is. I know how challenging that is. And I know what they're struggling with. Yet I don't get wrapped up. If a person, for example, who's an alcoholic will start using manipulative techniques. I do know from theory how that works, but I've never done it. Person who has been drinking and got over that addiction, they will immediately recognize, go, okay. Sit down, chill. Okay. I've done that before. It's not working. And that is, for me, it's really important. Coaches I choose also have done where I want to go. That's very important. It's not just, I'm going to coach 6 figures, that how you are making 6 figures. Are you making 6 figures? No. Okay. Then I'll find another coach who is making 6 figures so they can teach me what they've done.
Very good.
How did you go from such an abusive relationship into growing into the woman you are today? Like, I know that you said that you went through a phase where, you were such a masculine woman, and obviously that was part of the process, and I get that because I was also in such a marriage, and it's how did you go from that to where you're at now with your mindset?
It was a choice. See, even Albert Einstein, he says, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results, is a definition of insanity. So obviously what I was doing was not working because it didn't answer the question, if I would ask myself a question, are you happy? The answer was no. And that was okay. So if I'm not happy, what can I do to be happy? Right? It's not a question of what somebody can do for me to be happy, because then we're looking for a non-sustainable happiness. We can't ask people to work for us to make us happy, because that's not okay. Happiness is my responsibility. What can I do to be happy, right? So It was first thing was forgiving myself, and forgiving myself for being in those relationships, understanding that I did the best I could with the knowledge I had at that time. And that's really, really important. I don't regret any of those relationships, although they were quite difficult. They made me and let me discover who I am through maybe some challenging events or very challenging events. Yet those events created empathy. Those events created understanding. Those events created forgiveness. And that is so phenomenal because when you look at people and they're struggling, you understand that they're doing the best they can with the knowledge they have at this time. So you don't go blaming, oh, you are this, you are that. You just go, okay, I get it. If you ever need help, I'm here, right? But there's no element of getting frustrated because you know that there's not a person in this world, I truly believe that wants to be unhappy as a choice. I don't believe we as a human race choose to be unhappy. We are unhappy as a default. And that's a very different thing because notice that when you're a kid, right? And you're in that parents relationship, those parents are happy because you showed number one or you walked or you a spoon in your mouth. Oh my God, you were so awesome, right? Then they go, oh, it wasn't equal. It wasn't just right. You stupid kid, right? And then at some point, it's usually about 7, 8 years old, we as a culture decide that this is not enough anymore. And now we're going to punish if we're not perfect. And that's where the culture of unhappiness. Notice if you go on a street and there's people that let's say a group of people you're walking with, somebody's unhappy, what happens? They attract hundreds and hundreds of people. What's wrong? How are you doing? Is everything okay? So we create certain behavior that we know we get attention that we need if we act a certain way. Now, the same situation, but a person is going around happy, singing, joyful. People usually go, okay, what's wrong with her? It's usually not, oh, how are you? I want to join you. They're like, she's like happy, happy. Nothing wrong with that.
What drugs she's taking?
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Shani?
What
Right.
drugs is she taking? You're asking about the drugs that she's taking because she's
Yeah,
so
what drugs does she take? Exactly. And guess what? She is being actually the way she's supposed to be. We're designed to be happy. We're designed. That's why we have the happy hormones, happy chemicals, body structure the way we are. We're not meant to be miserable. Yet for some unknown reason, as culture, and not only Polish one, we decided that a default behavior is a miserable behavior.
But it's so much more. It's easier to like say negative things and think negatively. It actually takes effort to speak positive things,
Does
think
it?
positively, be positive, being happy. I have dealt with a lot of people around me who have been depressed, and it's so easy to slip into all of the negative topping that goes into your head. It's so easy to slip into that, and it takes a lot of effort to dig yourself out of such a hole.
It's
But
a
it's
default.
yeah,
It's a default behavior. So what if we would create a default happiness behavior? What
exactly.
if, as in our environment, we would promote the happy behavior? Because our societies, yours and Canada, everywhere and around the world, I rarely see people going, yes, let's gather around and be happy. They go to a concert, they're happy, and they go home. Oh my God, I'm so tired. So what was the point of being happy? Like, really? Instead of saying, oh my God, the concert was so phenomenal. I love dancing and my whole body is aching. That means I've exercised my muscles and, I'll have better health or my heart is pumping blood better. I don't know, whatever. You go, oh my God, I'm so tired. No, that concert was awesome. But oh, yeah. And the line was so long. And then, this happened. And then they're like, huh? Where did that go? How did it go there?
Yeah.
So happiness is a choice. And it's very important to realize that. And so is being miserable and unhappy.
I totally agree with you. And the way that you feel is also a choice. Like you can choose to get angry, just like happiness is a choice. And I mean, it's so important for people to realize that, because if you don't, you will always let, I don't know if that's a saying where you are, but let the tail steer the dog,
Neck turns the head.
No, it's not quite the same thing.
Well, I don't know that saying, so but I'm assuming I can relate, right? So
Yeah,
we can explain for the non-English speakers. Come on.
So it's like when a dog is happy or upset or whatever, he wags his tail, right?
Right.
And some people wag their tail so much and they make such a dramatic thing, and it steers the dog, and the dog is not steering the tail. So people start reacting because this person is such a drama king or queen or whatever, and it affects everyone and everything around them, and they're just like, just let this person shush, 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 and just give them what they want, and they will all be happy. That's basically what that means.
Well, that's very interesting what you're saying. So you're saying if you're overly happy and very big in your reactions, then people get annoyed?
No, not overly happy. I'm talking about people who are extremely negative. They get outbursts, the negative stuff, not the happy stuff. People who are not certain within themselves. They're always projecting, and all the negative stuff that happens, and they try to imprint that on you. I don't know if I'm expressing myself correctly.
Makes sense. I don't know if I would agree that people are trying to imprint that on you, because they're living the pattern that they know as the one that's serving them. One of my clients were talking, goes, my dad was, beating me and awful and everything. And I'm like, and how did you turn out? Well, I'm great. I got a PhD. I have a great job. I'm like, so what is the reason for your dad to change the pattern he treats you if he sees it works? And if those people see reactions and we give in to those reactions, they're not doing this to hurt us, to imprint anything. That's totally not their thinking. They know it works. They know it works. So if it works, why in the world would they change? The only time we actually look inside is when we're not getting what we want. That was why I looked inside of myself. I was not getting what I wanted. I was like, okay, this is not working. This is not good. So I would say I feel a lot of compassion for those people who are super negative. And also, being a brain coach, I do realize that there are 16 brain types, and some of those brain types are prone to this type of thinking and behavior.
Yes, that's correct.
So very often it's really not, they don't even realize that, because they've never taken a brain test. They never had their brain scanned. They don't, it's like you said, there are a lot of people with depression. Dr. Amen and a lot of other doctors, and me as a coach, when we ask people for blood work, we found that a lot of depression is actually not depression. Don't get me wrong. Depression does exist and it's a real thing. Yet a lot of people who are depressed are just lacking the proper D3 levels, B6, B12, and ferritin levels in their blood. And when you stabilize that, the depression element goes away. And then it's just a mindset. Mm-hmm. So it's not as simple as we made it to be. That's why I chose, for example, brain coaching outside of the previous coaching, because it has the element of science. And I'm kind of a science nerd. I like science.
I'm curious how much, just because of what you said, recently I've been more and more interested in this, is how much does nutrition and fitness and activity and getting into the sun and moving your body and all these things, how much does this tie into brain science, and where?
Huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. So one of my favorite studies that I like to quote is the study that was done in Norway. They did 500 people on placebo, so they were getting vitamin C. 500 people on Prozac, and 500 people got prescribed walking in a forest during breath work 20 minutes a day for depression. After half a year, Prozac and walking in a forest were more or less the same. Placebo was less, the results. But after a year, sustainability, walking in a forest and doing breath work was 3 times as effective as Prozac. And people on Prozac relapsed.
Wow.
In 80% of the people that were taken into account. And what we eat. Now, I'm not a Puritan when it comes to eating. I do watch what I eat. And I do understand how microelements work and how we function works. So the breath work, the walking, being outside, doing a lot of things, taking time for ourselves, mental health. Like, we know we're supposed to exercise, right? Because it builds muscle. Dr. Amen quotes one of the studies that he has is that people who go into a coma with high level of muscle mass are 80% more likely, I don't know why 80% again, 80% more likely to come out and be fully functional psychologically, mentally, and physically than people who go without a muscle mass.
Wow.
Because in a coma, our body eats basically our tissues to survive, right? So the muscle mass gives our brain to thrive. Your brain doesn't get the nutrients you get in your stomach. You have to produce them. Right? You have to have good blood flow to your brain. So there are certain things you can do, things you can eat. For example, saffron in a lot of studies have shown to nivellate depression or help depression. There are a lot of things. And Dr. Amen literally has coaches like me where people with emotional issues or need of a coach before they go and take the chemical medication, which I am all for. Just to be clear, I'm epileptic. I take my medication religiously because I don't have seizures because of that, right? So there's nothing wrong with modern medicine. Yet, because of the way how I decided to live my life, I've been now 8 years without seizures. So that's a huge success, and I have a good EEG. Will I ever stop taking that medication? Probably not. It might be decreased, but probably not. So medication is good. Yet we got to try first to do everything possible to go without. When those things don't work, then we go into modern medicine, and that's very important. Another study that during our calls with Dr. Amen was shared with us. I don't know if you guys know, they did a study in Florida. That was terrifying. They did a study in Florida. And in Florida, they took the fish that are swimming there and they checked them for antidepressants. So all our fish are happy. They're all on antidepressants. We pee so much out of antidepressants that it's in the ocean, and the fish close to the shore have that in their organs, their meat. So even if you're not depressed, you're eating that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can check that. It was they shared that on a call with us. I was like, oh my freaking Lord. Now, obviously not all fish, not everywhere. It was a study done only in the Florida. So I'm not going to speak to that. Was the study. But the fact that we eat so much of the medication that it gets to the ocean system, there are ways to try. Now, if if you're in psychosis, there are ways that have been proven, and Dr. Amen has shown that, for example, I don't know if you guys are aware of ADD, that in the US is the biggest epidemic of ADD in children. If you go to Europe, there's 0.01% of kids with ADD. They're eating the same thing. They're living, breathing the same thing. It's the way we diagnose things. So the points on the diagnostic scale in America are different than in Europe. Now, if you, for example, and that's another scientific, there's a lot of science, you can go to medical journals. If you, for example, go on a keto diet, you can reduce seizures in a lot of epilepsy. Not all of them, not every. There's different types of ADD, and Dr. Amen is the first psychiatrist that looks at the organ he treats. Can you imagine being treated by a cardiologist who never looks at your heart? Doesn't that sound a little bit scary? Okay, so your issue is this, and I never seen that organ, but this is how I'm going to do it. Oh, okay, maybe not. So Dr. Amen, for example, scans the brain, looks at the brain, and he has discovered that there are different types of ADD. And depending where the ADD is located, different medication will work. It doesn't have to hit and miss anymore. It can be literally targeted medication where you don't have to try. The medicine is advancing, and coaching should too as well. That's why I think what you ask about food is super important. And it's not what we're hearing, oh, you cannot eat carbs or this. No, it's not that. It's about the nutrients. It's, for example, knowing that there's no such, there is, but there isn't, depending what you believe when it comes to GMO foods, right? Well, guess what? Every apple is a GMO because it has been put on a different tree and it's been grown in a different tree. So it has been genetically modified. Pomelo, which is my favorite food, is a mix between two fruits. It doesn't occur naturally but I love that fruit and it's not bad for you. Yet, it is important to understand how those foods are processed within your body. And it's important to understand that, for example, if you want to eat non-GMO, which are most expensive in America, one of the things it has to be GMO is blueberries because they suck in all the chemicals and everything in. Everything else doesn't do that. So if you eat non-GMO strawberries, you should be okay. It would be nice if they're grown in the sun, not in, some type of establishment. So there are so many things and there's a lot of knowledge. So I truly encourage if people kind of choosing what works for them, don't do a revolution, do the 2mm shifts, see how it works for you. Try it out. If it becomes a habit, create a new habit, add a new thing. Like for me, it's walking every day, at least an hour. I walk 5 miles a day. I hate running. I absolutely hate running. And I'm not going to run. Nobody's going to make me run because I hate running. Yet I love walking and moving around in the forest. I love biking and I love other sports. Nobody said you have to go to the gym. You can do other things. Choose things you enjoy. Life becomes so much easier when you do that. And yes, food is important. It's crucial in our brain health.
So, Dominika, I'm curious as well, just because you're speaking to that, like I even think over this past weekend, I put in over 20 kilometers on my bicycle with my girlfriend. We went walking, did some trails, and it's amazing. But another thing that we like to tap into is supplementation and nootropics and things that can enhance our diet. Is there anything that you would want to speak to about that at all?
So when it comes to brain types, we have certain supplements that are recommended for a brain type. And, you can take the brain type and then write to me and I'll give you the list of supplements if you'd like. You can take the brain test, no problem. And then I'll tell you which for this brain type is recommended. Everybody for now in the whole wide world is missing D3. So that's the first thing. And it's very important to read with your doctor. Read it not in the norm, but as optimum. So if you're between 30 and 90, for example, on a scale, and you're at the 35, you are in the norm, but that's not optimum. Optimum is about 60, 70. So make sure you kind of take a look at those, because the fact that you're in the green, it doesn't mean it's working the best for you. There are ways to increase that. So, definitely vitamins B and iron. Those are also important. Yet again, as I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm a coach. My knowledge, the coaching knowledge that I have is from Dr. Amen. So I do have sets of different types of supplements that are worth using. There's GABA, there's SAMI, there are so many things. And there are foods like turmeric that you should be adding. I mean, I have lists and lists and lists of those depending on where you're at. So I wouldn't want to advise you now because I think it's very individual. Everybody does miss something. There's not a person that's not missing type of a supplement. Sure. The question is if it's important to you, right? And is it optimum? Because maybe you're doing fantastic. Maybe, you're brain type 1 that just needs general vitamins. Or maybe you're like me. I don't absorb iron at all. So I have to supplement iron no matter what I do, or I get dizzy and depressed and sleepy. And me sleepy, I mean, come on. That just doesn't work. So I have to take iron because I have iron in my blood, but I have no ferritin. And that's very important. Test your ferritin. Check because that ferritin is iron in your cells. Mm-hmm. And you might have it in your blood, but you will not have it in your cells. And if that is true, then it won't go to your brain. It will not help create the neurotransmitters. And it's like a whole thing. It's not a big deal. Life is so beautiful. It's so simple. let's not make it more difficult than it is. And yes, there are some Puritans that, eat everything super clean and only organic. And I'm not one of those. I believe in being rational. And maybe one day I'll go to that way. But hey, if it works and you're healthy and your blood work is great for you, do it. If it works for you, why not?
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you.
So thank you, Dominika. Today has been amazing. Really, if people want to connect with you, want to know more about the thing that you are doing, I know that you are doing several webinars and workshops and different things right now to help people. Tell us how they can contact you.
Okay, well, you can find me on Your Brain Coach D on Facebook, Your Brain Coach D on Instagram. There is my email, of course, yourbraincoachd@gmail.com. You can go there. All of you who are watching or would like to get a brain test, write me an email. No problem. I'll send you a link and then send me back the number that you got, and I'll send you the supplements. There is also a replay of a training of negative thoughts, how to get rid of them. And there is a little website posted, so you can just click on it and watch the little 30-minute training. It has some strategies. And soon I have a webinar on happiness because I specialize in happiness. I wonder why.
Because you're so happy.
Yeah, I am. And I love the way I am. It makes me feel whole and that I'm not missing anything, that I fit in the way I am. And I absolutely love science and I love people. And I wish everybody could grow at their own pace to have their own happiness, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And also, like the last idea that I want to bring to what you were saying is, okay, happiness is a choice. That's something that I love. The only thing that you have to know, and you have to realize that from what Coach D has been saying the whole interview today, is sometimes you can see that choice because of your environment, the thing that you are around. So you need to start to work in yourself to start to see that there is a choice for you, and you can take that choice and start to experiment that. And even if it's a little choice today and tomorrow it's a little bit bigger and the next one is a little bit bigger, you are going to start to improve. And look for that box and start to write all the things that are wrong and that you are saying to yourself. That for me, it's really huge. And I believe that can help a lot of people that is listening to us. So
That exercise, just do it only once, okay? Don't do it over and over so you don't kind of memorize in your brain all the bad things you're saying, because then there is another exercise to get rid of that.
exactly, but gives you a good idea of where are you, what are you thinking, and
Absolutely.
what are you going through. So thank you, Coach D. It was amazing. Thank you, Shanae and CJ. It's great to be working with you here in this show. So everybody that is listening, thank you for being with us today. And if you have any question, just reach to us. And if you want to reach Dominica and you didn't get the name, just write to us and we can help you and go there directly. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you all, and be
A
happy.
pleasure. Be happy.